Have you ever felt like you were losing your mind because a man's behavior didn't line up with what he was saying, like his actions were revealing one story while his words were telling you something completely different? What if I told you that the deeper his feelings become, the harder he may try to cover them up? Here's the truth that can completely change the way you see his behavior. When a man is secretly becoming deeply attached to you, he doesn't always move closer. Sometimes he pulls back. He doesn't always admit what he feels. Sometimes he hides it. He doesn't always make his emotions easy to read. Sometimes he tries to make them impossible to notice. Today, we're uncovering 6 powerful signs that reveal you may have become someone he can't stop thinking about, even when he's trying his hardest not to show it. These are not the obvious signs people usually mention. We're not talking about simple things like quick replies or constant messages. We're talking about deeper emotional patterns, hidden reactions, and subconscious behaviors that reveal what he's trying to keep hidden. Because here's something many people misunderstand about strong feelings. When someone becomes truly important to him, when you start taking up space in his thoughts and affecting his emotions, his first reaction may not be confidence, it may be fear, and that fear can look like distance, silence, or even a sudden change in his attitude. But the truth has a way of showing itself. His hidden emotions often appear through the small things he cannot fully control. Stay with me until the end, because once you understand these signs, you'll be able to notice the difference between someone who truly doesn't care and someone who is struggling with feelings he doesn't know how to handle. You'll learn how to recognize the signals he may be sending without even realizing it, and why the person who appears the most unaffected might sometimes be the one fighting the strongest emotions inside. Here's the part about attraction and deep feelings that changes everything. When a man realizes that someone is starting to have a powerful effect on him, it doesn't always feel exciting. Sometimes it feels uncomfortable. It feels risky. And when people feel emotionally exposed, they often try to protect themselves. Many women assume that when a man is strongly interested, he will become more direct, more available, and more expressive. But human emotions don't always work that way. Sometimes, when a person feels that someone has influence over their happiness, their mood, or their peace of mind, they try to take back control. And one way they do that is by acting like they are unaffected. Deep inside, his thoughts may sound like this: if I stop giving this person so much importance, maybe these feelings will become weaker. If I act like I don't need their attention, maybe I'll stop wanting it so much. If I create some distance, maybe I can calm down what I'm feeling. But here is the interesting part. The more someone tries to hide a strong emotional reaction, the more those hidden feelings can appear through their behavior. This is why mixed signals can feel so confusing. One moment he seems interested, the next moment he seems distant. One moment he is fully present, the next moment he acts like nothing matters. This emotional conflict creates patterns that become easier to recognize when you understand what is happening beneath the surface. And this is why learning to read behavior is so important, because feelings are not only shown through words, they are revealed through reactions, choices, timing, and the little moments people think nobody notices. And sometimes the person trying hardest to hide their emotions is the person revealing the most. It's not just about him liking you, it's about you becoming deeply connected to his emotional world. You are no longer just someone he enjoys being around. You have become someone who affects his mood, his thoughts, and the way he experiences his day. That level of emotional importance is something many men struggle to admit, even privately to themselves. Understanding this hidden side of human behavior changes everything. Because once you realize that what looks like distance, calmness, or indifference may sometimes be a way of hiding strong emotions, you begin to notice the signs that reveal what words cannot. These are the signals he cannot easily create, cannot perfectly hide, and cannot fully control. And that is exactly what we're about to uncover. The first sign that you may have become someone he secretly thinks about is hidden in something extremely subtle that many people overlook. His entire energy changes the moment you enter the room, even when he acts like he hasn't noticed you at all. And this is what makes it so interesting. A person can control their words, they can control their expressions, they can even try to control their actions, but their natural reactions are much harder to hide. When you walk into a space, you may notice a sudden change in him. If he was quiet, he may suddenly become more active. If he was confident and relaxed, he may become more careful and aware. His behavior adjusts around your presence because your arrival creates an emotional reaction inside him. He may avoid looking directly at you. He may pretend to stay focused on something else, but something about him changes.
You can often see it through his body language. Even if he is talking to someone else, his body may slightly turn toward you. His posture may become straighter, his movements may become more intentional, he becomes more aware of himself, almost like he knows someone important has entered the room. It is as if a part of him is trying to make a good impression, even while another part is telling him to act completely normal. And this is what makes the behavior so fascinating. When someone becomes emotionally significant to us, they become connected to our inner reactions. Their presence can create excitement, nervousness, comfort, or even a need to protect ourselves. The moment we become aware of them, our emotional state can shift. That is why you may notice him becoming a different version of himself when you are nearby. He may become more confident, more reserved, more playful, or more guarded. The change itself is the important part. And here's something most people misunderstand. They often assume this kind of reaction means someone feels uncomfortable or doesn't care. But sometimes it means the opposite. It means your presence carries weight. It means you affect him enough that he cannot remain exactly the same when you are around. If you have noticed that he acts differently around you, even in small ways, pay attention. These small moments often reveal what someone is trying not to show. And remember this, the strongest signals are often the ones people never realize they are giving. But the next sign reveals something even deeper. Because when someone becomes truly focused on you, they don't just notice your presence, they start remembering the smallest details about you that even you may have forgotten. When a man is secretly deeply interested in you, his mind begins collecting information about you without him even trying, and this is one of the clearest signs because attention reveals importance. He remembers conversations you had days or even weeks ago that you barely remember yourself. He recalls small comments you made casually. He remembers your favorite things, the things you avoid, the stories you shared, and the little details that most people would ignore. But what makes this powerful is that he is usually not doing it intentionally. He is not sitting there creating a list of facts about you. His mind simply marks those details as meaningful because you have become someone who matters to him. Things connected to you feel important enough to remember. You might casually mention that you love the sound of rain, and months later, when a storm arrives, he brings it up. You might tell him about a small goal you have, something you mentioned only once, and later he asks how it is going. You might forget the conversation completely, but he remembers. And that is where his feelings become difficult to hide, because people naturally give more attention to what holds emotional value for them. We remember what touches us. We remember what matters to us. We remember what we don't want to lose. So when someone keeps noticing the small details about you, it can reveal a level of attention that goes far beyond casual interest. Stay with me, because the next signs will show the hidden behaviors that often reveal someone's feelings long before they ever admit them. You might say something like, I told him I had a stressful meeting at work last Tuesday, and somehow he remembers to check on me days later. Or maybe you share a small story from your childhood one time, and weeks later he brings up a detail from that story during a completely different conversation. This is not just about having a good memory, this is about emotional importance. When someone becomes deeply focused on you, their mind begins treating the things you say as meaningful information. The details connected to you feel different. They stand out. They stay longer. They become memories that are easier to access because they are connected to emotion. When something carries emotional value, the brain naturally gives it more attention. That is why your words can stay with him long after the conversation ends. And here's what makes it even more interesting.
Sometimes he remembers things you said better than you remember saying them yourself.
You might look at him and think, wait, I actually told you that, because for you it was just a simple comment in the middle of a normal conversation. But for him, it was information about someone who has become important in his world. Something inside him marked it as worth remembering. And the most revealing part is how he uses those small details later. He might surprise you by remembering the drink you like from a conversation months ago. He might avoid choosing a place you once mentioned you didn't enjoy. He might bring back an inside joke you assumed had disappeared from his memory. These moments can feel almost unbelievable, but they are often signs of where someone's attention naturally goes. It is not always about the size of the gesture. Sometimes it is about the small details that show where his mind has been spending its energy, because people usually remember what feels meaningful to them. They remember what creates an emotional connection. They remember what they don't want to overlook. And this kind of attention is not something everyone receives. A person may hear hundreds of conversations every week, but only certain words stay with them. When someone has a strong emotional interest in you, your random comments can become important moments. Your simple stories can become valuable memories. Your little preferences can become things they naturally keep track of. So if you notice that he remembers details you barely recall sharing, if he notices things even some close people forget, and if he keeps bringing up small pieces of your life that you thought were insignificant, pay attention. It may reveal that you hold a much bigger place in his thoughts than he openly admits. But remembering details is only one part of the story. The next sign reveals something even deeper. It appears through the way he quietly tries to protect your peace, even in situations where you never realize he was helping. This is where hidden feelings often become much harder to ignore. When someone becomes deeply important to him, he may develop a strong desire to make life easier for you, sometimes in ways you never notice. And this is not always about dramatic actions or obvious displays. It often appears through quiet choices, small adjustments, and things happening behind the scenes. You might notice that certain uncomfortable situations seem to disappear before they reach you. You might find that problems you expected to deal with somehow become easier. You might wonder why certain stressful moments never became as difficult as you thought they would. Sometimes there is a reason behind that. Someone who deeply cares may be paying attention to things you don't even realize are happening. He may quietly create solutions, reduce stress, or remove obstacles without needing recognition for it. This protective behavior can appear in simple ways. Maybe he changes the direction of a conversation because he knows a certain topic will upset you. Maybe he steps in when someone is crossing a line. Maybe he handles small details so smoothly that you never even noticed there was a possible problem. He becomes a quiet source of support, someone trying to make your world feel safer and more comfortable. What makes this behavior interesting is that it often happens naturally. When someone becomes emotionally valuable to us, we start paying closer attention to their experiences. We notice what affects them. We notice what makes them uncomfortable. We notice what brings them peace. It is not always something planned. It can happen automatically because their happiness begins to matter more to us. You may also notice that he becomes unusually aware of your comfort. He notices when you are tired. He notices when you are uncomfortable. He notices when something feels off before you even say anything. He may ask if you are okay before you mention that something is wrong. He may remember small things that help you feel better, and these moments can reveal a level of attention that goes beyond ordinary interest. Stay with me, because the next signs will uncover the hidden behaviors that often reveal someone's strongest emotions, especially the ones they are trying hardest not to show. He starts changing his actions, his plans, and even the way he manages his surroundings to make things better for you, sometimes in such quiet ways that you don't even realize it is happening. But this is what makes this sign so powerful. This kind of consistent care is not something someone can easily pretend to have. It comes from a
a genuine emotional connection. You cannot keep giving this level of attention, thoughtfulness, and consideration over time unless that person truly holds a meaningful place in your life. And here is the deeper reason behind it. When someone becomes extremely important to us, their emotions and experiences begin to affect our own. Their comfort brings us peace. Their struggles start to matter to us. Their happiness can influence our own happiness. So protecting them is not only about doing something kind, it becomes connected to maintaining our own emotional balance. Their well-being starts feeling connected to our own sense of calm. What makes this even more noticeable is that this protection can extend beyond what happens directly between the two of you. He may defend your character in conversations you are not even part of. He may correct unfair comments about you. He may remind others of your good qualities when people are only focusing on your mistakes. In a way, he becomes someone who protects your image when you are not there to protect it yourself, and that reveals something important about the way he sees you. You are not just someone he enjoys spending time with. You are someone whose peace, happiness, and reputation matter to him. You have activated a deeper desire to support, care, and stand beside you. So, if you have noticed that certain problems seem to become easier when he is involved, that difficult situations somehow become smoother, or that he quietly tries to make your life less stressful, do not immediately dismiss those moments as random. Sometimes they reveal the actions of someone who has made your happiness a priority. But remember, protection is only one part of the story. There is another sign that reveals even more about what is happening inside him. It appears through the way his entire social behavior starts changing when you are around, especially through his need for your attention, reaction, and approval. When you become someone's hidden focus, something interesting begins to happen. He may unconsciously start performing for one specific person, you, even in a group setting. Even when he is talking to other people, a part of his behavior becomes connected to whether you are watching, whether you are impressed, and whether you approve of him. You may notice that he becomes more energetic when you are nearby. His stories become more entertaining. His humor becomes more confident. His personality seems brighter. It is not always because he is trying to show off. Sometimes your presence naturally brings out a different side of him. You become the person who motivates him to show his best qualities. But here is where it becomes even more interesting. His behavior is not just about being impressive in general. It is about being impressive in a way that matters to you. He begins noticing what makes you smile, what captures your attention, and what earns your respect. Then, without even realizing it, he may start showing those qualities more often. Pay attention to how he acts when you are there compared to when you are not. Around you, he might become more confident. He may be more generous with compliments. He may speak with more certainty. He may handle situations differently because your presence changes his emotional state. It is almost like you bring out a version of himself that he enjoys becoming. This happens because strong emotional interest creates an internal audience. Even when you are not directly judging him, your opinion begins to matter in his mind. Somewhere inside, he starts asking himself questions like, would she respect this? Would she find this attractive? Would she enjoy being around this version of me? And that is a powerful shift, because when someone's opinion becomes emotionally important, their reactions begin influencing our choices. You may notice him looking toward you after saying something funny, almost waiting to see if you laughed. You may see him pause after sharing an opinion, checking your reaction without saying a word. You may notice small changes in his energy depending on the signals he receives from you. These moments can reveal more than direct conversations because they happen naturally. When someone becomes deeply invested, your positive reactions can become a source of encouragement. If you respond warmly to a certain side of his personality, he may naturally show that side more often. If he notices you appreciate a specific quality, he may find more opportunities to express it. This does not always come from planning or strategy. Sometimes it is simply the result of wanting to feel valued by someone who matters. And what makes this sign so revealing is the contradiction. His words may suggest that he is relaxed or unaffected, but his behavior shows involvement. He adjusts, he notices.
He responds. He becomes more aware of himself around you. But as powerful as these social changes are, the next sign reveals something even more personal. It involves the one thing people carry with them everywhere, their phone, because the way someone behaves with technology can reveal where their mind goes when nobody is watching. His relationship with his phone can become one of the clearest windows into how much mental space you occupy. And what makes this sign interesting is that technology habits are often automatic. People rarely think about every small action they take with their devices. Their habits reveal what they naturally prioritize. When you become someone he thinks about often, his phone behavior may start changing in noticeable ways. Sometimes he may put his phone away completely when he is with you because he wants to give you his full attention. He may ignore distractions that he normally responds to quickly. Other times you may notice the opposite. He may check his phone more often, almost hoping to see something from you, even when you are already nearby. But the most revealing moments happen when a notification appears. Watch carefully. If your name appears on his screen, there may be a visible shift. His attention changes, his expression changes, his energy becomes different. A simple message from you can suddenly become the most important thing happening in that moment, and that small reaction can reveal just how much importance he has attached to your presence in his life.
Even if he tries to act completely normal, that first reaction often reveals more than he wants it to. A small change in his expression, a sudden shift in his attention, or the way his energy changes when your name appears can expose what he is trying to hide. You may also notice that he responds to your messages with a level of speed and focus that feels different from how he responds to others. No matter what he is doing, your messages seem to find their way to the top of his priorities. While other people may wait hours or even days for a response, your texts receive immediate attention. He could be busy with work, spending time with friends, or involved in something important, but somehow your message still creates a reaction. And this is what makes the behavior so interesting. The way someone responds to communication often reveals what they consider important. We naturally give more energy to the people, situations, and conversations that carry emotional value.
We write more carefully when someone's opinion matters to us. We check our phones more often when we are hoping to hear from a specific person. And when someone has become deeply important to him, you become that person he is unconsciously waiting for. His phone is no longer just a device. It becomes a possible connection to you. Every notification becomes a small moment of curiosity. Every vibration becomes a possibility. Somewhere in his mind, there is a hope that it might be you reaching out. You may also notice that his conversations with you feel different compared to the way he communicates with other people. His messages become more thoughtful. His replies become longer. He puts more effort into keeping the conversation alive. He asks questions that show he is paying attention. He remembers things you mentioned before and brings them back into the conversation. He shares articles, ideas, jokes, or random things because he thinks you might enjoy them. While his messages to others may be simple and practical, his conversations with you feel more personal. They feel like he is trying to create a deeper connection. Another thing you may notice is how accurately he remembers details about your future. He knows your plans, your important dates, your upcoming responsibilities, and the things you are working toward, not because he is trying to control your life, but because your life has become meaningful to him. Your future matters because in his mind, your path affects the possibility of being part of your world. He becomes interested in what happens next for you. Your goals become something he wants to see succeed. This can show up through the advice he gives, the encouragement he offers, or the resources he shares because he wants to see you grow. And here is the part many people overlook. When someone becomes emotionally invested, they may start making small changes that create more chances to connect with you. He might become interested in activities you enjoy. He might visit places you mentioned liking. He might adjust his schedule in ways that create more opportunities to cross paths with you. And sometimes he may describe these things as simple coincidences or personal choices.
But patterns often reveal what words try to hide. The small decisions people make repeatedly can say more than a single conversation. So if you have noticed these signs, if you have felt a different energy, if you have seen these patterns happening again and again, do not immediately dismiss your own observations. You are not simply imagining things. You are noticing behaviors that reveal attention, emotional investment, and a level of importance that may not be spoken openly. But remember, recognizing these signs is only the beginning. The real power comes from understanding what they mean and deciding how you want to respond.
If this video helped you understand confusing behavior, if it gave you a new perspective on the signals you may have been noticing, then stay connected because there is much more to uncover. I create content that explores human behavior, relationship patterns, emotional connections, and the hidden reasons behind the actions people often struggle to explain. If this message connected with you, support the video by liking it and subscribing for more insights like this. And share your thoughts in the comments. Tell me which of these signs you have experienced, because your story may help someone else understand their own situation. At the end of the day, real connection is not built on endless guessing or trying to decode every single action. It is built on awareness, understanding, and emotional clarity. Now you have a deeper ability to notice the difference between empty words and meaningful behavior. You can recognize the signals behind the silence, the emotions behind the distance, and the truth behind the actions. The question is no longer only whether you have become important to him. The question is, how will you choose to handle that understanding?